Welcome back to this brand new video. In the last video I showed some accessories I bought for my Opel Kadett E from 1987, and I also just started to really begin on this project on the car. So without further ado, I'm not going to hold up any more. This part basically is all about removing rust and basically having some precautioning, I don't know what the exact term for it is, to just make the car more sustainable against rust, and to also fix some of the rust issues the car had and also is known for excessive, for example, the excessive rust the car can develop in the wheel arches and basically all parts of that. So for that, I put my car in the garage and I lifted it up. And basically, the first phase was me just lifting it up, looking at the parts where the car needed the most attention on. Um, and here you see me opening the bonnet or the hood, basically to see underneath as well, receiving a bit more light for the undercarriage of the car. Because with the bonnet open, especially with this small engine, a lot of light can go through, which is making the task to look for rust a bit easier. And then it was time to lift up the car more to be able to look underneath it more easily. And as you can see here, at this point only the engine, but the rest of the undercarriage of the car looks extremely good in my opinion. As you can see, it does have some surface rust, um, and some other parts, but as you can see here, most of the things I see is some filth. And as you can see here, of course you have some surface rust. The car's 38 years old at this point, so I'm not complaining anything about that. What I did see though was that the exhaust has a few minor leaks, although within the Netherlands, the so-called MOT, I don't really think that this is the biggest issue with that. Um, but basically, after looking at the undercarriage of the car, it was finally time to somewhat start. And so I started with these somewhat bolts that hang on to the radiator and that keep it in place, as these basically were the only most rusty parts on the whole radiator setup, which in my opinion is just very odd that this was the only part that was really rusted. But still with surface rust, as you can see over here. So I actually just wanted to make sure that, well, it was already taken care of, so that it wouldn't be a problem in the future, and that also the rust was taken care of, and that these parts of the radiator also weren't being threatened by rusting through in the future. And I did this basically with somewhat sanding it down and also applying some water, to just be sure that I'm not applying too much pressure, because otherwise I would maybe remove too much parts of just the part of the radiator. And eventually, as you can see here, a bit sped up, but it did take some sanding until I saw the iron part underneath of the rust. And after that I saw basically that the stick that somewhat keeps the bonnet or the hood open also was quite rusty still, as well as the other parts with just surface rust. So no really, it wasn't just really a big problem. And also here with the spring, also a piece of rust. So I cleaned that up a bit. And after that, basically the same process. I sanded it down, cleaned it up underneath, and basically did this on and so forth. And basically, as you can see here with the light on it, you can also see later on that you're starting to see the metal underneath. And basically when I saw that, that was my somewhat affirmation to see, well, okay, this is great, this is good enough, and we don't really need to do any much more about this. And there also was this small dent on the passenger side of the car, which also eventually caused some of the paint to chip off and yeah, form a bit of rust, because at that point it wasn't just protected anymore. So the metal was, yeah, somewhat open to the air and rain and every filth that there was. So I also had to sand this down. And after that, it was part of just, yeah, getting papers involved and just making sure that the car was protected from the paint. As you can see here, I used a protectant paint anti-corrosion primer. I did not paint it directly at the moment. It still isn't painted, but it was just a primer so that I know, well, okay, there's already a primer that simply just protects it at this point, which is, in my opinion, also a lot better than just keeping it unprotected and maybe even letting the rust form even a bigger problem in the future. And after I did this, I also did this with the other side, and after that, it was just uh, having a bit of patience for letting it dry. And I also did the same steps with this small part over here, also applying just the primer. Also a lot of newspapers because I don't want any paint of the primer to go onto the car. Um, because yeah, the red color, although is actually pretty okayish, it isn't the same color as the car. So you would easily see that yeah, just the primer was there and also has a totally different color than the red of the, yeah, the car itself. And as you can see here, I already let it dry a bit and later also did the same part for the rust inside of, yeah, just the engine bay near the spring of the car. And yeah, I chose to do the exact same and apply just, yeah, a thick layer of primer to be able to not let any water or filth just get into the place where the rust was beforehand. And this is basically what the engine bay looked like when I was, yeah, occupying myself with, yeah, just removing and respraying. And this was the result. As you can see, it was a bit different, and you could really see that the primer just was a different color. So yeah, and basically the radiator struts are, yeah, somewhat good looking, and as you can see here, this part is now also good looking. And then it was time to move on to the chassis because, yeah, it is a old car, and it also had some surface rust on here as well, although not really that bad. It was very good in my opinion. So some parts really just needed only a bit of a scrub and then just applying some primer, and other parts, yeah, just needed a bit more scrubbing because it had some rust underneath of the paint, for example, and therefore you needed to apply more pressure. And especially this part basically was the worst part, and in my opinion, it wasn't even that bad. Uh, but yeah, it was the worst part on the whole chassis. So I needed to, yeah, apply a bit of pressure, and it took some time. But later, after cleaning it up, I made sure that only the metal was underneath, not to leave any rust. And then it was just time to respray it with this, the primer. And in the future, this is also just my plan to, yeah, also just use other tools and stuff to make this car resistant to rust, which basically a lot of the cadets weren't. And so that's basically my biggest concern for this car. As you can see here, it was finally time to just remove it, all of the papers, all of the, yeah, glue, and yeah, and that was basically it. In the last video I talked about some accessories such as mud flaps, although I eventually looked the video back and I noticed that I didn't even yeah, place the videos in the video itself. So these are the mud flaps I bought. Original Opel, um, and yeah, very good looking in my opinion. And this is the clock for the interior that I bought. And in this video you can see me just putting it in, although later I will be connecting it because the car needs some connectors. Because it wasn't optioned with a clock. So in the future I will look into it and see if the car has some connectors already or that I need to do it myself. And this is a small, somewhat spoiler about what I'll be doing to the car soon. As you can see here, it is just a small part of just the fuel cap, and it is a small spoiler about just the car, what I'm going to do in the future with it. In the next part, I'll be taking care of either just this and other parts of the car by just respraying it, making the black parts of the car, which basically are yeah really faded at this point, look more black and more like it came out of the factory, like it was just a new car. So in the next parts, we'll be making sure that that all is just going to be solved. And that was basically this video. So thank you for watching this video. In order to be able to upload more videos in the future, please consider becoming a member on my channel, starting from just €1 a month, or sending just a super thanks on this video also helps out a lot. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more, and also check out my other videos on my channel, such as in the history series or just my other cadet videos. And I will see you very soon.